Hey, it's TuxBird, and welcome to, Survival and Patch 1.5. It's finally here. Well, I mean, at least on the PTS it is, but... Anyways, I'm going to give you guys a brief overview of what Patch 1.5 entails. Note that some of this information could change as it's like 2 days into the PTS. I'll even show you guys some gameplay from some of the new weapons and named gear items. So let's begin! Enjoy some solo survival gameplay because my first ever survival stream had playback issues after it was uploaded. Thanks for nothing, YouTube! Maximum gear score has been raised to 256, rather than 1.4's 229 max gear score. They also added a World Tier 5 bracket, which is for gear scores 230 and up. This also applies to the Dark Zone bracket. Heroic incursions that were previously available in only World Tier 4 are now switched to World Tier 5, and now include level 34 NPCs. So that's where you're going to find the hardest content in the game. Alright. Here is where we start to get into the really fun stuff. Named gear items have been introduced into the game, and they're actually one of my favorite additions in Patch 1.5 in Survival. They basically are the equivalent of a named weapon, but for gear, if that makes sense. They are special, have a yellow name, and have a unique talent that you can't find on any other gear piece. I think that they're going to be some of the most sought after items in the game, and I'm glad that they were added. So let's talk about them. The first one I'm going to show you is one I actually have in the PTS right now after playing for a solid 3 hours? It's called the Ninja Bike Messenger Bag. As you can see, the named gear items have a yellow text to them so they are easily distinguishable from other pieces. This gear item kind of works like Banshee and makes you lose less credits in the Dark Zone and saves one of your items in your contaminated bag. Seriously, just look how cool that looks. Like, I'm digging that. Next, Joe Farrow's Oxygen Mask. Players can move and shoot while under the burning status effect. There, right there, is a direct counter to the many flame turrets that are currently being used in PvP, and even allows you to shoot cleaners while they quite literally roast you. Short Bow Championship Pads. Grenades have a shortened fuse timer. This means that your grenades basically explode on impact, and it could be really good for PvP situations. Colonel Bliss's Holster. Powerful improvements to sidearms, which are as follows. Hitting a target consecutively with a sidearm increases weapon damage by 2% for 20 seconds, and this effect can last until 10 stacks, after which a stack is consumed and it EMPs the target. I could actually see some, incredible utility with this holster. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty great. And with the new pistol that was introduced in Patch 1.5 as well, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna have gameplay of that in the future. The Burst Fire pistol, I can definitely tell that this is going to be a god tier item. The next two pieces are my personal two favorites. Skull's MC Gloves. Increase damage by 10% when no gear set bonuses are active. These will actually make all high-end builds viable and will push for even more build diversity, which is actually pretty awesome to see. The last named gear piece is what I believe to be the most sought after piece out of all of the named gear pieces. Lorraine Barrett's Bulletproof Vest. What it grants you is this. Increased skill power when no skills are on cooldown. Increased damage by 5% when one skill is on cooldown. Increased armor by 10% when both skills are on cooldown. The utility that this chest piece has is really going to change up the way that we play in the Dark Zone and in the PvE world. I'm actually really looking forward to collecting as many of these as I can. What do you guys think?
I think they look pretty neat.
Go away, dude.
Fine, if you want it that way.
Enemy armor damage now applies to PvP as well as PvE, which means that perks like Destructive, which grant enemy armor damage, are going to become god tier. Assault rifles will as well when it comes to PvP situations now. Enemy armor damage can now roll as a main stat like armor can, whereas it was a minor attribute before. So basically, for your main stats, you can roll either armor to beef yourself up, or enemy armor damage to counteract whatever armor mitigation some dude has. Next up, let's talk about Stagger. Stagger now functions in PvP when using hard-hitting weapons like shotguns and marksman rifles. Whenever you're hit with one of them, you'll flinch and your aim is going to reset. Kind of like explosive bullets were before, but they're not going to be like incessant flinching. It's going to be more moderate. NPCs will now have a chance to drop crafting materials when they are killed. So if you're like me and you're suffering a crafting material drought, this is a plus for you. I seriously need more crafting materials because I can't get any good rolls on any of my blueprints. A little side note too, the scavenger crate in the base of operations actually gives you usable items now. Hooray! And now for the last game change. Phoenix credit rewards from different sources like incursions, high value targets, and missions will increase based on your world tier. Boring, but As you go into a harder world tier, you're going to get granted more Phoenix credits, obviously. Just to tell you all straight, the M870 is getting nerfed by 12%. Alongside that, the aim assist on all shotguns is going to be nerfed quite significantly. So the 4-man M870 gank squads that sought to ruin your day every day will have a pretty big nerf heading their way. I know, guys. I was super excited when I read this too. I'm glad that they actually did something about it, so we'll see. We'll see how it turns out for the console players out there. I'm one of them. I know the struggle, guys. All right. So I promised you guys I'd show you some of the new weapons in patch 1.5. Let's get started. First up is the FAMAS, the brand new assault rifle coming to the Division in 1.5, and it's freaking awesome. The weapon is surprisingly accurate, but not always the easiest to control. The talent this weapon will always come with is called Uncomplicated, which increases damage by 15%, but the bonus is less effective when you apply mods with accuracy or stability. The FAMAS is really good for close quarters engagements and handles pretty well in medium range too, but the instability of the weapon causes problems at long firefights, so be wary of that. All around though, the FAMAS is a really viable weapon for PvE and also on paper appears to have the potential as a good PvP weapon too. It's pretty comparable to the Lavoa. It actually pretty much is the Lavoa, just, you know, with obviously a few changes, but that's what it's easily comparable to. Its high base damage plus its rate of fire actually make it a pretty well-rounded assault rifle. Now we have the MG5. If you guys watched any of the 1.4 PTS, you'll know that this beast got leaked early and absolutely shredded everyone in the Dark Zone. Seriously, it was bad. I didn't have one, of course, so I didn't get to, feel like a god, so it's okay. We're gonna get to do it now, though. I don't really have any experience with it yet, so I don't really have too much information on its performance, but boy, does it sound beautiful. Next up is the UMP-45. It's one of the slower rate of fire submachine guns, but it makes up for it in its modest range and damage. Its third talent is completely unique and does 10% damage to targets in cover, which is a pretty big change of pace from other weapon types like LMGs that have damage to targets out of cover as their bonus. Pretty neato. Next we have the Model 700, a brand new bolt-action sniper rifle that's bound to be one of my favorites out of the bunch. It feels in a lot of ways like the M44, but more powerful in the sense of its mag size. The weapon itself is incredibly stable and almost 100% accurate as well. Every shot you fire sends the reticle into full bloom obviously, but due to the weapon being a bolt action, it will go right back to where it was before, so you can line up your next shot pretty easily. The built-in talent is called Elevated. This means the weapon will deal more damage to enemies if you are more than 1.2 meters above them. This encourages sniper-based players to find higher ground not only to gain an advantage, but to also gain more per bullet damage against different enemies. Although I feel like this talent is situational, it can also be very useful in certain environments. Next up is the new Burst Fire Pistol, the 93R. This thing is definitely going to be one of the most sought after, if not the most sought after pistol in the game. I definitely take it that builds involving a ballistic shield will become ever more viable because of this pistol. Another pistol that was introduced in patch 1.5 is the Rhino pistol. It pretty much mimics the Magnum in its kick, damage, and rate of fire, but it's pretty cute. It sounds mean though, like listen to this. To cap off the weapon changes and additions, there are going to be 4 brand new high-end named weapons. If you're a sucker for named weapons like me, this will get you excited. The first one is called the Golden Rhino. Name says it all. Golden Rhino. The next one is called the Urban MDR Assault Rifle. This is actually the blind rifle that many of us saw with the original gameplay of the Underground DLC, but it never was actually released in the DLC. But it's coming back now. The next 2 are pretty much going to be the 2 things I'm going to be looking for in this patch. The Tommy Gun and the Thompson M1928. If that doesn't get you the least bit excited, well, sucks to be you, man. Apart from a few minuscule changes involving buffing the Final Measure 4-piece and nerfing the Hunter's Faith headshot damage, there really wasn't many changes to the already existing gear sets. But they did add the frontline gear set that we all may have heard of a while ago. Its new name is the Defense Set. The 2, 3, and 4-piece bonuses are shown here. The 2-piece set bonus is 15% protection from elites. The 3-piece set bonus is 30% ballistic shield health. The 4-piece bonus is called Frontline. Allows using an SMG if one is equipped when the ballistic shield is deployed. SMG crit chance, however, is reduced to 0%. I think this set is going to be really fun to use and not too overpowered considering the fact that you have 0 crit chance, but we'll have to see how it plays out in the public test server. Overall, patch 1.5 and the introduction of survival is really going to make this game shine brighter than it ever has before. The changes that are coming may not be what they will be when the patch actually releases to the public, but for now it's safe to say that we have some really cool stuff to look forward to. If you guys enjoyed the video and want to see more survival and patch 1.5 PTS videos, make sure to leave a comment and a like on the video. Thank you guys for watching as always, and have a great day. This has been TuxBird. Peace out, guys.